Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about Trump's latest, not tweet, I guess, Truth Social post that he just put out. Just had some thoughts on that. I personally think that he's putting his money behind the wrong horses, but anyways, I've got some thoughts there. So I just wanted to go over it and just give you my thoughts on what I think. So he starts with his post saying, "What's going on with my boys, and in some cases, gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who con the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton / Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there, they could have hurt the MAGA movement. Why didn't they use it? And why? They haven't even given up the JFK or Martin Luther King files. No matter how much success we've had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. We're about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years, and we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigid and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left. Inspired documents of Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking into as AG and much more. 1 year ago, our county was dead. Our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention on this matter." Well, I think the problem is that people are paying attention to it, and the more they're telling us not to pay attention to it. I found this cartoon. Oh, that was really funny. How do you get people to stop talking about the Epstein list? Tell them to shut up. Tell them they're a liar, and then just essentially just release the document so everybody can see them, and then we won't stop talking about it. He says in his post that it's, the Obama, Clinton, Comey, but this has been going on for a very, very long time. The Epstein whole scandal started in the 1990s. So I was looking at a case with JP Morgan. That case started in 1998 and ended in 2013. And they paid out $290 million for a reason, because there was actually shit going on. And that was over 4 different administrations that went from Clinton to Bush to Obama, and then on to Trump. But what I think is going on, I think each side has dirt on each other. So it's like if I have something on you, you have something on me. I'm not gonna. If I don't tell, you don't tell. And so if we don't tell, don't tell. Then no one's gonna get in any trouble at all. I think that I was listening to Benny Johnson, and he was saying like, well, what if they had something? They would have put it out there on Trump. Yeah, but if Trump has something on them and they have something on Trump, they're both going to stay quiet because they don't want to dish on each other. But I think what the real problem is, and it comes down to, I don't think it's about anything between Democrats and Republicans. It comes down to Israel. Israel is the problem. This is an ex-CIA agent. He says Mossad would have exploited Epstein's contacts, arranging their cooperation by having Epstein whining and dining them while flying them off to exotic locations, providing them with women and entertainment. If they refused to cooperate, it would be time for blackmail, photos and videos of sex and underage women. And that's the problem there. And I always say, follow the money. Follow the money. You will always find the end, and you'll always find the reasoning. The U.S. has provided a substantial amount of financial aid to Israel, primarily for military purposes. Since World War II, this aid is estimated to be about $318 billion, B with a B, billion dollars. A significant portion of this aid is provided through the Foreign Military Financing, the FMF program, with an annual commitment of $3.3 billion, as outlined in a 10-year memorandum of understanding. Additionally, $500 million is allocated annually for cooperative missile defense program. Since October 7th, 2023, the U.S. has approved over $17.9 billion in military aid to Israel. That's a lot of money. Again, follow the money. And then when you all come back to, I always think, how does it all start? And then you work your way down. So how did this all start? This all started with Robert Maxwell, who was involved with Israel. And he worked for Israel, and he brought on, and I truly believe Ghislaine Maxwell didn't work for Epstein. Epstein worked for Ghislaine Maxwell. So there's your connection right there. And it all roads lead back to Israel. Remember that. And they question, again, he has nothing to do with the Mossad. Again, all roads lead back to Israel. And Trump keeps asking, like, why we should all just forget about it. We should all just forget about it. But then he was the one that ran on transparency. He was the one that was saying that, oh, I'm going to release the files. I'm going to release the files. And then we're like, okay, release the files. And then he doesn't want to release the files. I really think that, that's what's bothering everybody. And if there's nothing in the files, then he should just let them go out.
I think part of why Kamala's getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman?
Yeah, exactly. So there also is a lot of Republicans on that list as well. That's why it doesn't want to get out. But one of the reasons that I think there's a lot of independents out there that kind of went on the Trump side was to have this transparency, to get rid of the deep state, to have this whole debacle have a rest to it, have some accountability for it. It's just unbelievable. Another one cartoon I saw. They need to, we're going to censor the name. No one wants to know the names. No one wants to know the victims. No one wants to know the names. We want someone to be held accountable. They got $290 million from JP Morgan, and they also got another $75 million from the Deutsche Bank. So if there's nothing to be seen and there's nothing happened, nothing went wrong. So to have all these lawsuits, there has to be files within those lawsuits. Ghislaine Maxwell, she's sitting in jail for nothing. She did nothing. So if this is all going to go away for Epstein and there's going to be no list and we're all going to forget about it, does that mean Ghislaine Maxwell gets out? Because apparently if they don't have any files, and apparently she's on appeal. So all the files are still there at the Southern District of New York because she's appealing her conviction. So this case is still ongoing as we speak. So anyways, guys, I'm just curious to your thoughts. Again, how can we expect people to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files? It really is, why aren't we releasing them? If there's nothing to be seen and he's saying, well, there's nothing there, or if it's full of lies of what the liberals are doing and it's all a bunch of bullshit that the liberals have put together in these files, then put it out there and we'll all see it. But another thing, and Tucker Carlson talked about this, I think it was yesterday when he was at that summit in Tampa. He says, we have a right to know, if Netanyahu has Trump by the balls, we should know that. It should be transparent. I think that's exactly what's going on. They have Trump by the balls, and he is making those decisions for the country based on that, the amount of military aid that they need to keep going. You can't just stop that trove of money going to Israel. They need to maintain that. So however they're maintaining that flood of money for their missiles and for their defense, it's coming from a large portion. With the billions are coming from the US. And I think there needs to be transparency there. And I think that's what's really going on. It's not that the Democrats or the Republicans, this is so far beyond that. It's Israel. It's like they're the marionette. The Republicans and the Democrats they're just the marionette. They're just they're the one that's holding the strings is Netanyahu. The one that's holding the strings is Israel. So I think that's my thoughts. I think that's, and and the only thing that makes sense to me is if Trump's worried about his life. That's the only thing that would make sense to me. But the fact that he's trying to gaslight us, thinking about, oh, what about the election was stolen and we should be focusing on the 2020 election and how there's much bigger things. I don't think he's reading the room. And again, I think he's got his money behind the wrong horse. I think he needs to get rid of Pam Bondi. Someone needs to take the fall for this, and they need to reevaluate and look at this again. Apparently, Kash Patel sent out a tweet or an X post today saying, I think he's still on board, regardless if Bongino is, but Bongino was not mentioned in his Trump's last post. So it'll be very interesting to see if he stays on or not. But yeah, I think it's the more he wants to gaslight the country and say, let's focus on over here. Let's focus on like the Russia and all that. And not that I think that was a bunch of bullshit as well. But this is becoming bigger and bigger, and it's just not going to go away. And the more he wants to shove it underneath the carpet, the bigger and bigger it will be. So anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. Really interested to hear what everybody's thinking. I've been looking on X today. There's people saying, oh, come on, guys, forget about it. He thinks that it's the other side trying to divide and conquer. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. What I think is going to happen is going to open up a door for Elon Musk and his new America Party, because he just needs to get over he just needs 2 or 3 seats to start kind of making some waves, because the big bill, beautiful bill, only passed by 1 vote. So if he gets in there and he gets 2 or 3 seats or 2 or 3 votes, it can really push, the needle on either side when they're trying to push things through. So yeah, I think what he's doing, he's going to lose a lot of his base. It's going to be divided, and he's essentially opening up the door for Musk to walk in and start with his America Party. And he has the money to do it. He has the money to push this through. We'll see how far he gets, but I'm going to do a video on that tomorrow about all the players are starting to get behind Musk, and if they can start moving the needle. He's drumming up for the 2026 midterms really quick, and I think he has enough people on his side that he can really make a difference, especially if Trump and his base is now being divided. So it'll be very interesting to see if all those Republican influencers and the Megyn Kellys and the Tucker Carlsons and the Alex Jones of the world start changing their tune and being like, oh yeah, let's all forget about it. Let's all move on. I just highly, highly doubt it. I really don't. I'll be in shock if they all kind of turned a blind eye and kind of, let's move on, guys. But anyways, are you guys moving on, or are you stuck and waiting to see? I think they just need to, if there's nothing there, release the files, hold somebody accountable other than Ghislaine Maxwell in jail for 20 years. There has to be more. Anyways, I think the victims need justification, and we need to know who's holding the strings to all of this. And again, it's Netanyahu and it's Israel, in my opinion. Anyways, please like, subscribe, share, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.